A different styling experience for your pet. Located at Victoria's Landing in Long Neck. Contact them at 302-390-5560 or at wolfandmeow.com.
Judge Rhonda Wills, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. So good to be with you.
Yes, absolutely. Bill and Jessica, Power 1017. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. So good to be with you.
Yes, thank you so much for checking in. We really, really appreciate it. Of course, we're promoting Relative Justice with Judge Rhonda Wills. And, of course, the show airs on syndication. Give us a rundown. Tell us all about the show.
Well, unlike any other court TV show, our show features disputes only between family members. So every litigant that you see appear on Relative Justice is related by blood, marriage, or children.
Wow.
Okay.
So when you combine money disputes with family members, things get dramatic real quickly.
Now, are you talking about child support, or are you talking about more like loans and stuff like that?
More like unpaid loans and
Okay.
things like that. The money disputes generally are over borrowed money or damaged property or things like that.
How did you get involved with like doing a TV show?
Well, I did my TV show a few years ago called Sisters in Law, and it was a reality show that followed me and some other women lawyers in Houston, our
Right.
practices and our lives. And then the producers of Relative Justice saw me on television. They were looking to cast the judge for Relative Justice, and they just called me up out of the blue.
Nice.
And I heard about the project, loved the idea, and I signed on to do it immediately.
Nice.
And as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, absolutely.
On your site, it says, be on the show. Oh, I'm typing in my info right now because someone owes me money.
Right. What did you grow up like, or like years ago? Did you used to watch some other court TV shows? Who were some of your faves watching?
I've always loved court TV, especially being in the legal profession. I've always loved court TV. And I've grown up watching all of the great court TV judges, everyone from, Judge Maybelline to Judge Mathis to Judge Judy to all of them. And I'm just absolutely fascinated by court TV. And, it's a genre of TV that's just so entertaining and so interesting. And I grew up watching court TV.
Yeah, but any favorite? Who's your favorite judge other than yourself, of course?
Oh, that's a hard one. That's really tough. I think that they're all great.
Yeah.
And there have been some amazing court TV shows. So
when I was
I
younger,
wouldn't single any one of them out. I would just say that they're all great.
Yeah, when I was younger, it used to be the People's Court,
Oh, yes.
Judge Wapner back in the day, and that was it. That's all that I remember being younger. And then after that, it was all about Judge Judy and Judge Joe Brown.
Uh-huh.
And they were they were it. I mean, Judge Joe Brown and Judge Judy were it. And, Judge Judy just came back, too.
Yep.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. What is your thoughts on Judge Steve Harvey? How do you feel about how do you feel about that?
I absolutely love Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
I think he is incredibly funny. I think he's witty. I think he's insightful. I think it's great that he's kind of brought that comedic sort of feel to a nighttime television show. So,
hey, I always said
he's not a judge, and he says he's not, but he brings a lot of comedy to which is a different take on the court TV genre.
I have always said, even though we compete against him in the morning on the radio, I've always been a Steve Harvey fan. Everything
Always.
he touches, always. All right, so I want to ask you about this. I know this is not, and again, we're promoting Relative Justice with Judge Rhonda Mills. Check it out. I wanted to ask you about this because we recently had Alina Burrows on promoting Crime Scene Confidential on the ID Network and Discovery Plus, and they're basically examining different cases on that show each week. And we brought up, and it's on the first episode of that show, is the Casey Anthony trial, okay, and Kaylee Anthony. And there was something very interesting that we got talking to her about, and I was like, well, you know what? Let's ask Judge Rhonda about this. Basically, Casey Anthony got off,
She was found not guilty.
She was found not guilty, and they're going to examine that whole case on that show. But then we asked her the question, Alina Burrows, well, if she was found not guilty, like, who is guilty? Like, is there
because she said that they're not looking for any other persons of interest.
Yeah, so if the court finds her, like, how is that? And the case is not going cold. It's actually like a done case. Like, how do you have any, like insight on that? Like, how can, if someone's found not guilty, all of a sudden, well, that's it then, we're not going to pursue anymore, because if someone's not guilty, there must be someone else who did that crime, even though we all know who did it. I'm just saying, like, how does that work? Do you have any, like insight on that?
Yeah, so, unfortunately, it sounds as though they don't have any other suspects in that case. And, these cases, once, investigators decide they believe they know who did it, they tend to focus on that person. And so I don't think they have any other suspects. I think we saw the same thing in the JonBenet Ramsey case, another beautiful little girl who died tragically and mysteriously. And we have no idea who killed her. So this might be a mystery that's never solved. But in the United States, we have something called double jeopardy. Casey Anthony has been acquitted of that crime, and so she cannot be charged again.
Right.
So if investigators still think that they don't have any other suspects, it's unlikely that anyone will ever be charged unless they identify another suspect.
Wow. It's just sad for the family. You think about it. I mean, off the record, we all know who did it. You know what I mean? But, I mean, it's just sad for the family, not guilty, and then you can't pursue anymore. I mean, that's just a sad reality. Does that happen a lot? Does that happen often?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the JonBenet Ramsey case is another great example of that.
Yeah.
We from what we know about cases like this, investigators come in, they investigate, they charge who they believe did it. In this case, the jury acquitted Casey Anthony. Did the jury get it right? Who knows? But that's our system.
Wow.
And once she was acquitted, that meant she could never be charged again. But, who knows? Because sometimes there's all kinds of cold case evidence that shows up years later.
Yeah.
Somebody's blood or DNA gets put into a database and suddenly there's a match. That sort of thing happens all the time. So will the mystery ever be solved about what happened to this beautiful little girl? Who knows? But hopefully investigators are continuing to keep the case alive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for clearing some of that up. Judge Rhonda Wills, of course, Relative Justice. Where do you guys film? Where do you guys tape the show at?
We filmed the show in Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Nice.
Yep.
Very
Home
good.
of thoroughbreds and bourbon and relative justice.
Wow.
Well, look, if someone owes somebody money and you're listening to family, how can they get on your show?
Yeah, go to our website, relativejustice.tv, and there's a form there that you can fill out if you have a family dispute that you'd like to bring to my courtroom. Also, if you go to relativejustice.tv, you can check for your local listings. We're nationally syndicated, and see where you can watch Relative Justice.
Yes, absolutely. Relative Justice, Judge Rhonda Wills, thank you so much
Thank you.
for checking in today. We really appreciate it.
So great being with you.
Yes, have a good one.
Get ready, Delmarva. We are here. The